We now have Karim Sabet, who's from Orbviz, another wonderful digital innovation that's here at home. Karim is a passionate, versatile leader who thrives on creating and delivering innovative solutions that address the needs and challenges of diverse customers. As a co-founder of Global Growth at Orbviz, he's on a mission to transform data into compelling visual narratives that promote informed discussions and smarter decision-making for government, commercial, and non-profit entities. This is the communications bit that's so key when you're trying to get across some of this information. So to the pedestal, I bring you Karim Sabet.
Thank you, Rose. It was really good to see your picture up there next to Obama and Gandhi and Trump. So, yeah. So I'm going to start with a little dirty secret. I used to work on an oil rig. But before you call cops, before you call security, but she's already rugby tackling me. But yeah, so I was talking to Dr. Rod about this. He said, well, many people have done many things in the past. And that's true. So before I moved to New Zealand, I used to work in Dubai. And I used to work in the industry, oil and gas industry, for 10 years. I didn't know much about sustainability or climate change or ESG. So it's almost like a confession booth here. I've changed since I've moved here. I started when I went to, when I landed in New Zealand, I was asking, saying, what can you do? And I was like, well, I just come from the oil and gas industry. And they look at me like I had some sort of disease. So I figured that's not probably the industry I should go into. And I have changed over the last 5 years. We just bought an EV yesterday, so that's a big change. But it really comes to the point of human behavior and change. And I think what you've done here in New Zealand for you just talking about it, don't underestimate, it's not all doom and gloom, although I told you I wanted to jump off the bridge when I was listening to you at some point today, but it's what you're doing here and everything that you're doing, Rose, well done for something like this, and I know that you're planning to go global next year. Did I let that slip, or no, you're good? All right, cool. And so, behavior and human behavior, it's really important. And so a little bit about, what can we do? So we decided that we knew, and I've got a bit of a attention I think I need therapy after this presentation, but I've got attention deficit disorder. So for me, reading all these PDFs and making sense of all that information is hard. And so how do you get people to actually connect with the information that's out there? There's so much data, there's so much information, and there's so much, stuff, and how do you connect to any of it? You've got all these organizations that tell you, we're doing this report, and there's that report, and there's our report, and we're doing this in our emissions, and this and that, and what does that even mean? So for the layperson, who really doesn't understand any of it, he'll just look the other way. Or, and you really get the first 3 seconds to make an impact when you're presenting something to people. Fun fact for you all, when someone says you've got an attention span of a goldfish, well, that's old news, because the goldfish is 9 seconds and the human's 8. Given the world we live in now, so things have changed and things are changing. So how do you, and Cheryl, really, I know you like what we do, and you're talking about the PDF. The PDF is an old technology, and it is anchoring us in the past. And so how do you actually get some of that information out there in a way that the layperson, so for all you technical people or accountants, this is for everybody else, right? How do you get that with people? So we've worked with a few people around the room here. I'm looking at you, Michael Healy, Michael, and the Smart Cities team. Oh, and Julianne as well. We've done some really interesting things, obviously led by, you need the people to want to be different and want to do things differently. That's really the important bit. And so you can see some of the stuff up there. Solutions are, they say the place to hide a dead body is on page 32 in the PDF, because no one's going to read it, right? So that actually just tells you right here, like PDF, no one's going to read it. It's 20 years old. I mean, who's going to look at all of that information? But you have to do it because it's compliance. You have to spend money and do it because governance tells you, you got to do that. And if you don't, you're in trouble. Well, the World Bank, a while back, they had thousands of, they took a sample, near 1,611 reports from the World Bank, and they looked at it. A third were not even downloaded. At a cost of over $150,000, $180,000, that's almost $100 million of lost opportunity of your spending. Because then that's large organizations, but people in general, you have to spend this money because you got to tick the box. Otherwise, I'm in trouble because I got other things I have to focus on, and that's really my focus. Well, we need to change that, right? That has to change somehow. And so it's the paradigm shift of what are we doing with complex information? How do you get people interested, right? Another fun fact, love fun facts, the most read PDF from the World Bank is a PDF about the PDF not being read, which is brilliant. So it actually tells you a lot that you need to know. So, how many of you like this? How many of you like to look at, this stuff? Yeah, you do. Well, we can talk about this later. I know someone really good that can help you with that. They charge by the hour. No, so sustainability reports or ESG reports, all the reports that are out there, or dashboards are out there. You've got to do it, and that's the technology that's out there. Big fan of Kogo, by the way, in case this is not just a Kogo. Actually, there's a lot of information that, all the data and so on. And so how do you actually take that information and make it relevant to everybody else, right? And so most people will not read this. You see this out there. You see this organization saying, there's a company today, which we're talking to, but today they published on LinkedIn saying, read our new sustainability integrated reporting today. And I clicked on it, and it's great photos, and it looks amazing. But I'm not going to read it. And most people are not going to read it. It's just human nature, right? So how do you actually get people interested and wanting to go, okay, hold on. I don't want to read 150 pages or 200 or 300. In some instances, some councils go 400 pages. Little district councils go 400 pages. That doesn't make any sense. Even 20 pages. And how do you get people to go, oh, I get this. So is that what this means? And you get interested and you understand. And there's a whole reason why that's actually beneficial for people to connect with your information. So how do you go from this to Orbviz, this is a circle, we're big on bubbles, champagne included. But how do you go from this to something that will actually grab people's attention? So we've only been, we spun off from Orbica 2 years ago. And so we're on this journey, we're just starting, and with the likes of, progressive thinkers like Michael Healy and the team around how else can we do, what else can we develop. We're on that path. And so what I'll show you is how do you go from something that's hard to understand to something that's engaging. So you really only get the first 3 seconds in people's attention, otherwise they're gone somewhere else. You're not even going to wait for 8 seconds. So really just a quick 15-second kind of approach. So this is Christchurch City Council's long-term plan. You scroll through, all line items are spend, and then from there you go to this, which is the bubbles. And the OPEX projects are hollow bubbles, solid bubbles are CapEx projects. And you can kind of go macro, I'm going to click here, all the way down to the line item on an Excel sheet or a PDF. And you can see how, this is on the loop, obviously, but I have gotten your attention. So you will want to actually go, hey, what else is going on here? What else can we do? And so on. So we've managed the success. And being able to show the success is not just around how many downloads in a PDF, but it's actually where are they engaging, how long have they stayed on the platform, what are they doing with it, that information is really important. And it's a little bit of a shift from the typical, this is how we've always done it, to doing it very, very differently. So what does this mean? So we've identified and we know that sustainability and the whole sustainability ESG regenerative approach is important. How do you make it relevant? How do you make it interesting for everybody else? And so we've got a few organizations that we're working with. So we've got University of Canterbury showing there. Am I able to click? So if I click, do I go on to, can I show some people some would you like to see some live, how it actually works? So with the University of Canterbury, they've had 1,600, 1,800, I haven't clicked yet, so yeah, it's a user error, just making sure. So University of Canterbury is SDG and showing 1,600 SDG, 1,600 research documents, and how do you show from those 1,600 research documents which ones mention SDG and which ones don't, and then from there being able to drill down which SDG is mentioned. So this is typically done in a Power BI format, but moving away from Power BI to everybody else, how do you do that? Top right, Orion, local EDB, their greenhouse gas report. And this is typically a PowerPoint presentation with lots of slides and being able to show it this way, where every single emission source is a bubble. Obviously, the bigger the bubble, the bigger the emission. You're able to now measure, go from scope 1, 2, or 3, or category 1, 2, and 3, see where it's been over the last, how it's tracking over the last few years. You can click on each one of them. It'll go straight down to that emission, and you can tell the story. So we're a data visualization, but storytelling platform. It's very important with this, that you tell the story. Otherwise, again, it'll turn out to be similar to any other thing that's out there, a PDF or a dashboard, where you're not really able to tell the actual story for everybody else to understand. So on a per emission source, you can click on it, and it's split between Orion and Kinetics, and you can kind of see where they're at. It's always updated. They're taking this next month, the executive team, to New York to talk to investors, potentially. So how do you actually show what they're doing in a way that everybody can just go, right, so I think I can spend some time, I can understand it. Why this is important? Because it makes something like a greenhouse gas emission report that most people will glance over relevant, because it's interesting and it's easy to understand. The next one on the bottom left is the B Corp. So quite a few of you have seen some B Corp logos up there. Why is B Corp important? Well, it's important, but when someone goes on LinkedIn and says, we're really proud to be a B Corp certified company, we got 92, and then the guys will be like, well done, amazing, great work, and B Corp will be like, we're so proud, welcome to the family. No one really knows what that means. It's like, what does 92 mean? What have you done? And you click, you're not able to actually tell the story. So there's a lost opportunity there. And so what we've done here is every single question on the assessment is a bubble. The size of the bubble is the size of the total points available for that question. So the bigger the bubble, the bigger the impact that question has on your entire assessment. The green halo, so usually this is pulsating halo, is where that company got 100%. So how easy it is now to actually bring all that data to life and really understand it very quickly, that transparency bit, that easy to understand bit. And it's updated as you go. Again, it's moving away from, I have to do it for compliance issues and compliance reasons, to no. How do you move it to strategy? How do you move it to relevance? How do you move this to actually, this is what I'm talking about, this is what I'm doing? I mean, Martin was talking about earlier around export, and when you're exporting to Europe, you need to tell the story, you need to tell what you're talking about. Well, there's a possibility that you can actually tell your story better for everybody. And it's not just for legislative purposes or regulatory bodies, but it's also for the public. It's also for your staff. And the bottom right is actually, this is a mock sustainability report that we've created. We can't show you the ones that they're not out yet from other organizations, but how do you take potentially all the different reports? So you've got the impact, you've got SDGs, you've got greenhouse gas emissions, you've got diversity, inclusion, anything that's actually included in the report. How do you bring it all into one place and talk about it? And that's the bottom right. That's really every single tab that you see there. If I click on GHG, it'll open up the entire GHG report that you go in there, but it's all accessible in one place. So again, you're easily able to tell the story and getting everyone connected to it. How do we know it works? Well, then from there, if I ask you what the success looks like when you're doing a PDF report or all these reports, you'll be like, oh, it's the number of downloads. That's how I know, that's how I measure the amount of money that's gone into creating these reports to how many people have actually downloaded it. Well, have they seen it, understood it, shared it? You're not sure. But being able to go, right, okay, now I've got my engagement analytics. I can tell how many people have actually been on there for whatever certain period of time. Have they, and I can also see how many clicks they're going, but also what's really important is where are they actually spending time on? So for example, hey, they're spending time on, scope 1 and scope 3 on the emissions, but they're not looking at 1 and 2. Well, why not? Maybe you're not telling the story well. Maybe we should focus on that. That works internally and externally. It works well for every single stakeholder. So it can go investors, the board, the executive team, staff, and the public. Every single person can actually use this. It's very easy to go macro to micro in a couple of clicks, and you get your insights. Or if you just want to stay high level, you can as well, right? You're able to actually tell the story, and it caters to everybody here. We recently, knowing that it works, we recently won a LGNZ Super Engaged Award with Christchurch City and the team, based on reports, downloads that went from about 100 downloads or so, Michael, to over 1,600 users, over 15,000 clicks. And the average user spent 3.5 minutes on it. That's a long time for people looking at spend. But it's because it actually works. And what did we do? We actually put this on the library. So this is Turanga. Put a big touchscreen in the library, get people to interact with it and go, hey, this is actually where the money goes. What, really? You start clicking and people love the bubbles, right? They do. It's just a moving bubble. It's actually quite good. I'm being rushed here, so there's no music like the Oscars? No, okay. But you also could do workshops. So this is Gisborne District Council's councillors. But how do you get also elected members who are members of the public interested in CapEx, OpEx, and all the spend that goes into it? You do a workshop. It's easy for people now to understand, right? So, so why does it work? What are the better outcomes? Internally, you get more people on the same page, so you get the recruitment, retention. I want to work for this company. They're really good, or this is what they do, or I want to keep working here because this is relevant to me and I understand it. And the team members see themselves in the data. So this is how this is relevant to me. If I'm in this department and this big bubbles are my emissions, what can I do differently? Then you empower people to take action. Externally, we're looking at securing finance, trade across international markets, like Martin was saying, secure insurance and reduce risk, take the responsibility box for RFP processes, but also it's away from just ticking the box, but you give them the opportunity to do that. Build a sustainable brand, which is really important. Being able to tell the story. Now, if you don't want to be transparent, that's up to you. We can't actually help you with that, but we can help you tell the story better and get all the stakeholders on the same page. So that's who we are. Vanessa was here, but she's gone. So I don't know, something I said maybe? Yeah, but that's it. Thank you very much.